The bloodiest bikers club, Hells Angels, is a name that carries both an aura of notoriety and intrigue. In the past 7 decades, this club has etched its presence into the annals of outlaw motorcycle gangs. Keeping up to the status of badass has its own requirements. It asks for bloody rivalries that end in bloody battles, lethal combats, and murders. But these assassinations aren't limited to rivals only. Even though the rate is pretty low, but between these clashes, even some civilians get to face death. Likewise, the club has been entwined with a series of incidents that involve confrontations with law enforcement officers. Today, we are going to dive deep into the historical incidents where Hells Angels members were embroiled in violent encounters with police officers and ended up killing them. But first, we have to understand how this club works and what leads them to clash with police officers. Let's get started. Hells Angels' way of operating. As we all know, Hells Angels is an organization that tries to portray itself as a sign of brotherhood and prosperity. But it's not a hidden fact that it deals in all sorts of notorious crime, covering racketeering to drug trafficking and murders to prostitution. In simpler words, they're behind almost every dark activity. And this mission of acting as a clean organization forces them to stay underground and operate in the backlight. These gangs can be seen widely promoting violence and clashes with rivals, but we rarely see them clearly messing up with authorities. They've tried to attack mayors, but it's all been orchestrated in the dark, so their name won't come up. That's why we rarely get to know about their horrible crimes. Their reputation is the most important thing for them, so they have no limits when it comes to protect their name. That's why we barely see them clashing with police officers directly. But still, there are some incidents where they came in front of authorities and ended up killing any of them. Charged with murder of a police officer. In a state courtroom in Koblenz, a tense atmosphere pervaded as a member of the notorious Hells Angels stood trial for the alleged murder of a police officer. The accused, a 44-year-old, appeared unfazed and remained silent during the proceedings. The prosecution's claim of an execution-style killing hung heavy in the air, describing how the Hells Angels allegedly shot the officer through his apartment front door. The court heard that the officers had visited the accused's apartment for a search, but a tragic misjudgment led to the fatal confrontation. The state prosecutor argued that the biker, under the mistaken belief that the officers were burglars, fired 2 shots through the door with the intent to punish them for a previous break-in. Shockingly, the accused seemed to not realize that he was firing at law enforcement officials. Despite the gravity of the charges, the accused biker chose to remain silent, leaving many questions unanswered. The situation portrayed that it's just a fake story made up by the accused one. It's being believed that it was actually a murder that was brought upon intentionally. The officers were there to inquire him, but he was the culprit. He decided to get rid of him, thinking he might get away. At the time of trial, there were a lot of police officers around the court showing brotherhood and empathy for the dead officer. The presence of dozens of police officers both inside and outside the courtroom underscored the serious security concerns surrounding the trial. Notably, even fellow Hells Angels, a group notorious for criminal and violent activities in Germany, were in attendance for the opening proceedings. Tragedy strikes at Chris Stapleton concert. The second incident arose during a concert in Mountain View, California last year. The vibrant atmosphere of Chris Stapleton's concert had turned grim as violence erupted in the event. An investigative report by the Mountain View Police Department unveiled the tragic circumstances leading to the untimely death of Juan Gonzalez, who was allegedly struck in the head by a member of the Hells Angels motorcycle club. The devastating punch resulted in a traumatic brain injury, eventually leading to Gonzalez's passing. The report revealed a sequence of disturbing events that transpired that fateful night. Earlier in the evening, an off-duty police officer was brutally assaulted by a group of men near portable restrooms. Video evidence captured moments of confrontation, including an initial altercation between one of the suspects and the officer. Later, as the situation escalated, multiple suspects joined in, culminating in a severe beating. As the night wore on, a separate incident unfolded, untimely leading to Gonzalez's tragic demise. A group of Hells Angels members and associates gathered, including the suspects, in an area of the amphitheater. A series of confrontational gestures preceded that fatal punch, with Winterton, the prime suspect, allegedly initiating the violence. The punch to the back of Gonzalez's head proved fatal, and the subsequent pouring of beer onto him added a shocking layer of cruelty. The investigation, which involved collaboration between local and federal enforcement agencies, identified the suspects and led to their arrests. Dominic Guardado, Raymond Cunningham, David Weisenhaven, Julio Moran, and Logan Winterton faced charges ranging from dissuading a witness to a crime to assault likely to produce great bodily injury. Despite some of the suspects posting bail and being released, the gravity of the incident highlighted the dangers associated with outlaw motorcycle gangs and the devastating consequences of their actions. Individual altercations. While instances of Hells Angels directly killing police officers are relatively rare, there have been several cases of individual altercations between club members and law enforcement. These skirmishes have occasionally resulted in injuries or fatalities on both sides. These incidents underscore the volatility of interactions between individuals associated with the club and law enforcement officers. But still, the numbers are pretty low because Hells Angels tends to operate undercover. Importance of context. It is vital to highlight that the actions of a few individuals within the Hells Angels should not be extrapolated to the entire club. Just as in any organization, there are individuals who engage in criminal behavior, while others may lead law-abiding lives. The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club itself has disavowed any involvement in criminal activities, and many members may not be associated with such incidents. The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club's history is punctuated by incidents involving violence and confrontations with law enforcement. While instances of the clubs directly killing police officers are limited, the organization's association with criminal activities has resulted in a tense relationship with law enforcement agencies. However, it is essential to recognize that not all members of the Hells Angels engage in criminal behavior, and the actions of a few should not be generalized to the entire club. This was it from today's video. Hopefully you liked it. Make sure you give it a like and share it with your fellow biker fanatics. And don't forget, at a cold start, always use your choke, ring that bell, and hit that subscribe button.